I think that's 8 defeats in a row, 9 maybe on the road now for Manchester United. You can break that down, you can moan about the Glazers, you can say where the problems are at this football club, and it's very clear that the problems at this football club are above. But when you look at that starting lineup tonight and you look at Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, all these players, Christian Eriksen, all of these players, that's got nothing to do with what the Glazers are doing above. This is Brentford, and no disrespect to Brentford. To beat Brentford, you have to match the work rate, you have to match the energy. I remember talking in my road trip video, every single player I pinpointed for Brentford came up today and proved the point. If it wasn't Ben Mee, it was De Silva, Tony, literally everyone who I mentioned came up for Brentford today. We knew what their dangers were, and when I talk about other teams now, I have to talk about their danger. And then when we talk about United, it's how we compete with that. It shouldn't be that way, I know, but this is how Manchester United are now. This is how bad the football team is. Never mind the football club, the team itself is an absolute mess at the moment. That game today there, 5 minutes in, I sent a message to someone. I said, this is better already. We looked like we were sharp, we looked like we were up for it. But then it's the ultimate test for this team. The ultimate test is when something goes wrong. 2 individual mistakes from David De Gea cost us big time. I thought we were just as good as Brentford in that first 10 minutes, but you cannot afford to do what David De Gea did today. Bread and butter catch, through his arms into the corner, then we're up against it. Then a ridiculous pass, which he should see and he should know is not the right pass to make, but he still did it. That's on David De Gea as well. He was absolutely appalling today. Absolutely appalling. And you know what? That defence and how much it gets criticised, he's part of it. He is part of the problem. Let's forget about the good saves that he makes. That's just one part of being a Premier League goalkeeper right now. He isn't in the top 6 goalkeepers in this division anymore. That's what we've got. We get carried away by his saves, and he is still a great shot stopper, apart from what he did there today. But when you start losing David De Gea's shot stopping ability, you get the David De Gea that you've got today, one that cost us. I'm looking at other problems that we've got. Erik ten Hag has got a massive problem, because there was one player on that pitch today. I mean, we cannot pick individuals. We can't just say, look, pinpoint that player, pinpoint that one. He was appalling, he was appalling. The whole team was absolutely shambolic today. We know that. But how Harry Maguire survives and stays in this team is a big problem. And I've said it, and you can go back and back and back on as many videos as you want, that I said when Erik ten Hag was appointed as manager, his biggest challenge, and we will know how much power he's got, is when that first team is selected, the captain's announced, and if Maguire actually gets game time in this team. If he keeps on getting game time in this team, that tells you everything you need to know about this football club and how much power Erik ten Hag has got. Martinez thrown under the bus today, literally thrown under the bus. Harry Maguire is just as bad, but because he's wearing that armband, he gets away with murder. He really does. You've got to look at that now as the biggest problem is, like, literally, this football club are telling Erik ten Hag what is going on, what's happening, who he's picking. I'm not having that Erik ten Hag and everything he stands for sees a player in Harry Maguire. He's too slow, he cannot pass, he has no composure, and he is not a leader. It's quite simple how Harry Maguire should not be in this team. It's clear to everybody. I was sat with the Brentford fans today, right in the middle of it, and when they were cheering the goals that went in, that was the only time they weren't laughing. I tweeted it out. I said, Brentford fans are actually laughing at Manchester United. The only time we stopped, like I said, is when they were cheering the goals. It is embarrassing for this football club. Like I said, I can't remember the last time we actually scored more than 2 goals. I think it was Brentford at home the end of last season. I think that's what it was. But away from home, when was the last time we actually scored more than 2 goals? When was the last time we actually controlled the game? What was it, Leeds away in February? That's how bad it is. That's how long ago it is. We can call ourselves a big club. We can say we're this. We can say we're a juggernaut still. We can say we've got the power to do this and that. But ultimately, when you look at what's on the pitch, it's hard to argue that point. It really is. Luke Shaw was hauled off, rightly so. Malacia came on for him. Again, another decision where it's like, well, it could have been any one of the back 4. In fact, the whole back 4 needed subbing off at half time. I mean, we've just done exactly the same thing as we did against Brighton. I'll go back to what I said at the start, when the first 5 minutes we look sharp, we look good. But then it's a simple way of adapting your game as an opponent of Manchester United is to go long, push United back into a false sense of security, make them play deep, and then just press them when they've got the ball. The first 2 goals, simply all Brentford did was what Brighton did. Hit that long ball, pressure the back three, because it is a back three in the way Ten Hag plays. He's going to have to adapt this now, because the way Ten Hag wants to play, we haven't got the players for. It's quite simple. This is Brentford and Brighton, respecting them names totally. We've not played Liverpool, Spurs, City. We've got all that to come. We've got Liverpool next week at Old Trafford. That's how you beat United. If you are anyone like a Brighton and Brentford, mid-table, bottom half of the table team, you hit the ball long, push United back, and then you just press them when they've got the ball, and they will give you the chances. It's not like they're creating anything, Brentford. They didn't do much. They got one from a corner, when again we was weak, and then 2 mistakes from De Gea. Game over. We can't come back from that. And everything else on top then is just a bonus. But basically, the second half, and I'm not having anyone say that the second half was better for Manchester United. It wasn't. All it was Brentford reserved energy in that sweltering heat and took the foot off the gas. That's all they did. It was as simple as that. And they just seen the game out from the 45th minute forward. We've seen Ronaldo having words with McLaren, walking off the pitch. McLaren telling Ronaldo to go and cheer the fans, having none of it. And some of the journalists have already posted out on Twitter that there was words with Ronaldo and McLaren got down the tunnel. The club, the changing room, dressing room, it's an absolute mess. How it's fixed is just not fixable. It's not with this team. Until they grow some mental strength within themselves and believe that they want to work as hard as the opposition, which we don't, and we actually believe in ourselves and have confidence in playing, then we are not going to be able to get out of this mess. This is going to be our worst Premier League start ever, because I can't see us getting anything against Liverpool. To be honest, you look at Brentford, you look at Brighton, you go, well, if we can't get anything from these games, what hope have we got going forward? Everyone's got a chance. Basically, what we did against Brighton last week was just invite every team in this league to come and have a go at us and know exactly where our weakness is. The weakness is up here. It's mentally. It all started today when Harry Maguire was closed down by Ivan Toney because he was too slow. Brentford went on the attack from that moment and didn't let up. And United fell into the trap. Guys, there's not much more I can say. You've already seen it, you've watched it, you're listening to the pundits out there. It's not going to change. It isn't going to change. I said it in pre-season, cautious optimism. Let's see what happens when the real games come around. Let's see what happens then. I also said in the Vallecano game, the last pre-season game of the season, we are not ready. We're not. We're nowhere near good enough to compete in this league. And someone laughed at me for saying that I had to watch out for Spurs and Newcastle. We do, because we're not getting Europa League football this season. And to answer the question about the Glazers and how the Glazers are going to leave this football club, it's going to be because of this. They're going to run out of money. This team is going to get worse. We're going to drop further and further down this league. And then when that happens and the money stops coming in, you may see a change in the Glazers, because no one's going to come and sponsor a team like this with this attitude. Ronaldo will be gone, I'm convinced of it. There's no way that you can have a player like that falling out with coaches now that have just come into the club, actually still in this team. It's a mess. It is a complete restart, and we're already out of time to restart. It's crazy, but that's where we are. It is what it is, isn't it? It's no change from last season. No matter what the manager, it's just always going to be the same, because the players are still there, and no one seems to be able to change. For some reason, the players that start. Fred's been hauled off twice now in the first 2 games. Maguire has been appalling in the 2 games. It's been like that for how many years? It's not changing no matter who the manager is. Something's going on upstairs. I don't care what anyone says. It needs change. It needs change. The manager needs the power to pick who he wants and drop who he wants. And until then, this team, especially this one now, because we're running out of time in transfer window, isn't going to get any better. Guys, cheers for watching. As always, like, share, subscribe for United Stand. I'm out of here. It's a long journey back home tonight.